Hi guys, I'm Lucelio Lemos. I'm the scientific co-chair for ICS 2023 in Toronto. I'm here with my fellow co-chair, Dr. Jerzy Gajewski, and we just had this amazing talk by Dr. Mike Chancellor about the implementation of crowdsourcing and AI on diagnosis of interstitial cystitis and all the challenges of research, and also showing us the pathway to take solid steps on this strategy for diagnosis and medicine. Mike, thank you very much for your talk. Your talk was really inspiring. I think we all feel like AI and big data has been kind of the way to go, but and pelvic pain, I think it's the first solid step I see. Can you tell us a bit more about how you did that and how you achieved that? Because I think all of us are looking for a way to do that.
Yeah, and that's great talking to you guys that we all have this interest. And the key takeaway is if I can do it at my age, seeing the beginning of computer science, I'm learning about AI and machine learning, anybody in the field, especially the younger generation, can do it also. Came about really, we're trying to look for a biomarker, an objective test for interstitial cystitis, but each of the genes and protein was just not good enough. So we want to come up with a score, these really good scores that's being developed in cancer to help us diagnose IC. And the only way to do that is through big data. And with that, you really just have to learn and adapt AI, ML, and to apply it, because it's too hard for any human being to comprehend it. You have to use the technology to come up with a score that can help us, the clinician and the patient.
But what was fascinating, how you took methodology, which is really not very traditional.
Right.
You go through the internet, maybe you can show TikTok how the TikTok looked like when the advertising with this Interstitial Cystitis Association, how to do with the boxes. That was really good.
That's the coolest part, TikTok to me 2-3 years ago was something like, oh, that's for my kids or something. And yet our team says we should consider using it as potentially marketing technique. So I agreed to it, and I follow our crowdsource study on the Google Analytics every day. And sure enough, when TikTok hit, the number of people that signed up by crowdsource picked up immediately. And that was the best thing that helped us in contribution. So gotta stay open. And TikTok is a very reasonable way when used, used in an effective manner and carefully.
And also involves patients association, because it helps you quite a bit in getting the patients and samples.
Yeah, that's one thing. As I learned, I really enjoy the ICAs because of the international part. We have like former students from especially Japan and Asia. I like to think of the future research as location agnostic. There's something we can do pretty good at Beaumont, Detroit, but I don't have enough samples. There's no diversity of patient. Why can't we do something in any and every research project, work together across country line, continent line, and by having a urine and preservative, you just take the cost and the shipping problem out of it. By crowdsource, you take pandemic out of research, and you can talk to a patient. They can be your co-research investigator with you, I think anywhere in the world, and we can all collaborate together because the data is all handled online.
So you touched at some very interesting points, because diversity nowadays is seen by many, because of the regulatory push towards that. Yeah. It's seen by many as a hurdle that you have to overcome when you're designing your research or your scientific sessions or so on. But you're just showing us the power of diversity, right? So you had, in your team, you had people from all different cultural backgrounds, educational backgrounds, people with lived experience on IC,
Right.
and everybody giving input and coming up with solution and allowing you to move forward with such a grand project in the middle of a pandemic. So that's the beauty about it.
And even more diversity. We everything was in English and Spanish, but I went out of the way and contacted the local ICA support group in our northern U.S. country to have them reach out to our Native Americans, who would be like your First Nation, to put the word out, because as long as somebody can have the internet and the U.S. Postal Office, we want them to have a chance to join us.
So it is such a nice beginning. What will be the next step? Do you have any plans to expand the project? If you can obviously talk about it.
That's a great, and that's by we all like to do innovative thing, but there's a valley of death. How do you take it out of the university and bring it to the thing? And you see the company's booth, so you have to be able to cross that valley, because if just having it at Beaumont, just having it in Toronto, Halifax University is not good enough. So as part of it, we did have a patent submitted, and hopefully there will be, since the process is very easy, standard lab that would do the work, not that hard, but does have cost to get FDA regulatory approval. So the test can be commercially available, and people can order a test like that 23andMe or that, the colon test screening. Can we get to that point and then collaborate based on that basis?
Yeah, and then it's when you take your eyes off of IC and BPS, and then you look at the broader thing and chronic pelvic pain,
Right.
we're talking about something that will affect 10 to 20% of the population, of the general population.
Yeah.
And then, for example, my data on nerve entrapment, until a patient has a surgery for a nerve entrapment, the patient has seen 14 different specialists,
Right.
and undergone an average 2 procedures, which are usually big ones,
Right.
with implants like spine surgery, hip surgery, until they get the final diagnosis, and then finally a solution. With your model and expanding that to other causes of chronic pelvic pain,
Right.
we'll be able to get to a point where we will have all the predictors for
Yes,
each
exactly.
specific intervention,
Right.
so that every patient may go, for example, in a platform that will triage them to the right specialist,
Right.
to have the right intervention with the highest chance of success.
Absolutely. My biggest contribution perhaps is to have somebody else do it for something else. You just have to have a registry with these pelvic symptoms. If it's large enough, you put it in the artificial intelligence algorithm, and it's going to come up with something that none of us can think of as a single person. And perhaps that patient can find the right doctor, find you sooner than than the 14 surgery later.
So Mike, bearing a little bit away from the topic, for our ICS members, especially young one, what would you recommend, or how would you be inspiring them, or what they have to do to actually be very successful in their science, but also happy, because you are happy, you get a good job. So this is also a very good exercise to young people to go ahead.
Well, do with the resources you have. It costs so much money to recruit patient and to get enough sample. So it's out of literally years of frustration. It came about, the cost-effective way is to break down the wall of research within each one of our center of excellence, and to harness the crowdsource. It's just something I found on the iPhone, that crowdsourcing, bringing people who care about the disease come together and trust them to do the right thing. And I think our field, ICS, is really just set up for something like this, since it is so global. And the young people are internet savvy. They probably have their TikTok account too. And that's going to bring them patients. Trust me, do it. So I'd love to see your TikTok next year on the pelvic entrapment or something, I think that's going to be could be a game changer.
Why not we ask ICS board to look for support from Apple, from iPhone for our meeting, because we're using you guys.
Well, if there's a lesson we learned from Mike today is to think creative, think out of the box. What you're telling us is the traditional way of doing clinical research is probably becoming outdated. We need new recruitment strategies, new engagement strategies, and a new way of thinking the overall research.
And it's 80% cheaper. I mean, just think of the cost to get 5 times the sample in a quarter of the time at 80% less cost. That's the only way how we can do big research moving forward.
Thank you very much, Mike. I hope everybody enjoyed both your talk and both our talking with you. And thank you very much.
Thank you. So good to be back in Toronto and talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.